Looks like we're all good. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Welcome to Deep Dish Football Live, Episode 2, 2023, Week 2. Here we go. Big action happening in IHSA, especially in the Chicagoland area. Still have a lot of questions, especially with some more of the senior quarterbacks. But that's usual every season. But should be interesting. So let's get it kick off. My name is Coach Big Pete, aka Peter Line of Deep Dish Football. Make sure you follow Coach Big Pete and Deep Dish Football on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. My email again is coachbigpetefp@gmail.com. Again, DuPage Run Shoot Show with me and my co-host Patrick Codo is tomorrow night. Should be published by 9 p.m., 10 p.m. if YouTube's not being a complete asshole to me. Sometimes YouTube is just an absolute pain in the ass. Also, again, all this month is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. I start off a little bit early, so I kick it off on Sunday. I just kicked it off this Sunday. If you like my work, please donate to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. St. Jude's Children's Hospital does a wonderful job for kids, especially families that can't afford treatment. Please check it out, St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So the whole month, I'm taking no donations, no tips. Please send to St. Jude's if you like my work. If you hate my work, please send it to St. Jude's. They do a wonderful job. Check them out, St. Jude's Children's Hospital. I have the link and everything else. Make sure you check it out. This whole month, I'm doing for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So again, please feel free to donate if you like my work. And if you hate my work, well, donate. Prove me that I'm an asshole, but please take a look at St. Jude's Children's Hospital, as this month, September, is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. All right. And again, as always, I need those stats after the big game, Friday night, for Player of the Night in the state of Illinois. Again, DM me, email me if you got 6 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, varsity level. Please let me know. And you have a chance to nominate a player for Player of the Night in the state of Illinois. The award gets awarded after midnight on Saturday morning. So just a quick warning. Also, still doing awards for Hog Unit of the Night. Best offensive line unit in night in the state of Illinois. Please let me know. Send me the stats. Parents, kids, let me know. Players, let me know. If your offensive line kicked ass, let me know. And you get a chance to nominate for a player for offensive line unit of the night, Hogs of the Night in the state of Illinois. Last week was Geneseo, so please check it out. Again, direct message me, email me, coachbigpetefp@gmail.com. And again, the Sunday conclusion article. I need those stats by midnight Sunday morning. So please send me those stats for top performers in the state of Illinois. Let me know, please. Again, direct message me, email me, tweet at me, send me those stats. All right. So we get into two of the things that I like to talk about, and one of the things that I keep reminding people now for the 6th year. Again, parents, angry fans, some angry players. Airing out your dirty laundry on a message board, a forum, or sending an anonymous email to a reporter or any of that, it's absolutely stupid. And again, I've seen a lot of coaches go through a bunch of BS in the beginning of the month because, well, the coach didn't start my son, or the coach didn't start me, so I'm going to start something. Don't do it. It's absolutely stupid. It just brings more drama. And again, forums and message boards are where trolls like to hang out. And I think it's absolutely stupid that you have an adult man going after a kid or even a coach and you can't face him face to face. I think it's absolute bullshit, and I think it's wrong. I also don't report on injuries. I don't like reporting on injuries. I absolutely hate reporting injuries. I think it's absolutely stupid. There's no need for someone to know about a player's injury. And I think it also, the kid becomes a target when he gets back onto the field for other team to target the injury. So I think it's absolutely bullshit that any writer puts any information about an injury. I think predictions are absolutely stupid too. Again, This isn't the NFL. This isn't college football. This is high school football. And I think a lot of people forget that. Next big worry, and I talk about this as well, roster size. A lot of people have been coming to me, and they've been sending me pictures of different rosters and just the size, especially a lot of the mid-sized schools, 20 kids. Some teams that have had historically 45, 50 kids now have 30, 25 kids. And again, it's just part of the times. You can't really do anything about it. But it's going to be a major worry. It's part of those times where just trying to get a kid to go out for a sport is hard. It's very, very tough. But luckily, the NFHS released a bunch of numbers, and it's good to see. So get more kids, and that's the big thing for a coach, is to recruit kids to the game of football. And that's a huge part of the job for a coach. And it's tough. It really is tough. It was a pain in the ass when I was coaching. And I coached at Westmont, and a historically bad program, really historically bad program. It's tough. It really is tough to get any kids interested in playing football. So it just, again, part of those times. Again, there's no deep dish football game of the week. Deep dish football game of the week. It's dead. It's done. It's buried. It's in the ground. So I got a bunch of questions about that. It's done. All right. So we go into the deep dish football games of the week for week 2, 2023. And here we go. Big game against the Mount Carmel Caravan, taking on the Morgan Park. This is a really important game for Morgan Park. This is a big stepping stone for Coach James, who has done wonders with this team. This is a big proving point game for his team this week. And Mount Carmel Caravan, they came off of a big time win over East St. Louis. Very impressive Jack Elliott. A lot of people have been talking about him, especially a lot of college coaches. Again, he's rising up the ranks for recruiting, but this is going to be a big-time game. Morgan Park taking on the Mount Carmel Caravan. If Morgan Park gets that big win, I'm telling you right now, things are looking up, and Morgan Park's got a clear shot to state title day if they can prove and beat this Mount Carmel Caravan that is looking very, very strong. Next one. Batavia versus Lincoln Way East at Batavia. The Batavia Bulldogs offensive line has been absolutely amazing after 1 week, taking on a Lincoln Way East defensive lineman that's very underrated. They have some stars, but very impressive to take away the defensive tackles of Lincoln Way East. You talk about an epic battle, and again, two quarterbacks too, Brandon Tisher and Ryan Bowe. Ryan Bowe is looking unbelievable for Batavia. This is going to be a big-time game, and they got the transfer wide receiver from Yorkville that's now at Batavia, Isaiah. He is looking good, too. This is going to be a big-time game as the Batavia Bulldogs take on Lincoln Way East. And again, very, very impressive was that Batavia offensive line against Phillips' defensive line last week. Very impressed. Lincoln Way East, their ability to handle Kenwood, especially that defensive line, was another impressive thing too. So again, they're looking really good. Lisle versus Seneca, small school matchup. Seneca gets the big upset win over Wilmington last week. Seneca, very, very good. A lot of teams, after they have a good season, they falter against Wilmington. It didn't happen last week. They beat Wilmington. They're taking on a tough Lisle team. Again, lost some of their linemen, but again, more impressed was with their win against Harvard. So again, this Lisle Lions team looks ready. Seneca team, very impressed with the Fighting Irish. Overall, line play is very special. Also looking at the Seneca quarterback too, and they're one of the running back Brady Rodemacher. He's another player to look out for as well from Seneca. Naperville North takes on Loyola Academy. And this is a big proving ground game for Naperville North, as Jacob Bell had an unbelievable game last week, threw for 4 touchdowns. Again, Loyola Academy, solid defense, great swarming linebackers, underrated offensive line. Fitzgerald at quarterback is a rising star for Loyola Academy and a rising recruit in the state of Illinois. But the big thing is going to be, again, Naperville North, Jacob Bell, how does he settle under pressure? He was able to do it last week. This week's a big proving point game. And this is a big time game that I'm looking at as well. Is Naperville North's defensive line going against the Loyola offensive line? That's going to be a key factor in this game. Next one, Washington versus Kankakee. Kankakee gets the big win over Nazareth Academy last week. Washington, big win over Canelan. Again, Washington's ground attack still remains one of the stronger points against this Kankakee defensive line is going to be huge. Another thing, too, that I'm looking at is Kankakee as well, is they're swarming back seven, which I was very impressed with Kankakee's defensive backs. They did not miss a beat after Jari. He's gone to college. Very impressed with Kankakee. Next one, and this is a Thursday game, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's a Thursday game. I might be wrong. Warren Township versus Maine South. Both teams have losses. Warren Township to Barrington. Maine South lost to Brother Rice. This is a must-need win for both teams. Warren Township, good attacking defense going against the Maine South offense. Keep an eye out for quarterback DeFlippis. Also, big battle that I'm looking at as well is Warren Township's offensive line against Maine South's defensive line. Fortis is an absolute tank. Definitely a game you got to keep an eye out for. Bryan versus Rockford Lutheran. Rockford Lutheran, unbelievable game last week. Taking on a tough Bryan team. Keep an eye out for Rockford Lutheran's ground attack against Bryan's. I apologize. I do massacre names. I apologize. Their defensive line. Next game, Central Illinois University takes on Sacred Heart Griffin. University comes with a big win last week over Springfield. Sacred Heart Griffin had a running clock loss to Normal Community. Another big-time game in Central Illinois. The big thing with this, and I know a lot of people are saying it's 1-0 versus 1-1. How good can it be? The big thing I'm saying this right now is if University gets that win over Sacred Heart Griffin, the University Pioneers, I had as one of my surprise teams. Look out for them. I'm telling you that right now. Sacred Heart Griffin, I think just looking at the first game and looking at some of the game film, I think there were a lot of mental mistakes made, and I think this Sacred Heart Griffin team is a good team. It's just going to take some time. New head coach, still coached at Sacred Heart Griffin. I think it's just going to take some time. But again, Sacred Heart Griffin's a good team, and I expect them in the playoffs in late October. Next one, Prairie Ridge versus Crystal Lake South. Prairie Ridge comes off a 1-0 record. And again, Crystal Lake South, Kane Casimo had a wonderful night last weekend, taking on the tough Prairie Ridge defense. Again, a lot of people were sleeping on Prairie Ridge. They're not sleeping on Prairie Ridge anymore. Definitely this Wolves team, I really like. Torkelson, their DB/receiver, if I'm not mistaken. They got a good line. They've always had a good line. It's the land of giants. Crystal Lake South, unbelievable. One of the big things that I've seen that really impressed me was their defensive line from last week. Crystal Lake South, this is going to be a great matchup up north. Cary Grove versus Crystal Lake Central. Everyone thought Cary Grove was going to be dead. They're not dead. It's it's Cary Grove. Again, that's a program. Again, preaches discipline. Awesome job with linemen. This is going to be a great game. Crystal Lake Central, everyone had us winning the Fox Valley. I have no idea why they had him, but they had him win the Fox Valley. This is going to be a big-time game. Next one, Harlem versus Hanahu, and I know I mispronounced that name. I apologize. Harlem, great overall defense. Linebacker, defensive line, so good. Very impressed with their overall ability. They take on Cole Warren of Hanahu. Overall, great offensive line. Jacob Benson. Going to be an interesting matchup, especially with Harlem's ability to cover that pass of Hanahu. South Elgin takes on Glenbard East. And the one thing I got to say, that I'm very impressed with South Elgin's defense. I wasn't really accustomed, but what you see in the game film is just pure discipline with that South Elgin defense. They take on a tough Glenbard East team, another team that really blew me away because of the players that they lost. They didn't skip one beat. This is going to be a great game in the Upstate 8 Conference. Definitely a game you got to check out for. Aurora Christian takes on Wilmington. Aurora Christian, they got to pass an offense. They lost their quarterback to St. Bede, but they got to pass an offense. They take on a tough Wilmington team, and again, Coach Rintz. I never, ever want to play Coach Rintz when he has a loss. You never do. I coached against him when he had a loss. He whipped the ever living daylights out of us. This Wilmington team will be ready, and do not say. Never ever say to Coach Rintz, well, your defense doesn't look good. Don't ever say that. I've seen a bunch of people tweet that so far this past week. When you do that, watch out. Wilmington will be on the hunt. Reed Custer versus Johnsburg. A very interesting matchup. A bigger school taking on 3A school of Reed Custer. Reed Custer, again, they got that first win over an Elmwood Park team. I thought Elmwood Park would give them a challenge. No. Reed Custer is the real deal. They take on a tough Johnsburg team. Can they compete with Johnsburg line, the Skyhawks line? That's going to be one of the big questions. Waubonsie Valley takes on Plainfield East. Waubonsie Valley, can they get to 2-0? With this Waubonsie Valley team, Tyler Frett has been an absolute superstar. Absolute superstar for Waubonsie Valley. So, keep an eye out for Waubonsie Valley. Also, keep an eye out for Plainfield East. Brandon Paredes. Overall, the wide receiver corps had an absolute great Friday night. Overall, the big thing will be Plainfield East defense taking on Waubonsie Valley's offense. Glenbar North takes on Willowbrook, the battle of 0-1s. Willowbrook needs this win. Glenbar North needs this one even worse because they're in the Duquesne Conference, and the Duquesne Conference is an absolute pain in the ass. I'm telling you that right now. This Willowbrook, again, Alfred Bilecki, overall offensive line going against a Glenbar North defensive line. Star defense tackle Samir Sennett. Overall, Glenbar North's defense, can they get the job done against a wide receiver core with Willowbrook? And overall, Arthur Pilecki, can he get the W? That's going to be huge. And I probably mispronounced the name. I do apologize. Kenwood versus St. Rita. Kenwood needs this win in the bad against the tough St. Rita team. And again, Stewart, the running back, is an absolute stud. He'll run your ass into the ground. He is unbelievable. This Kenwood defense, it's going to be, we'll see. This is going to be a big test for them. Again, get it out of your mind after week one, the loss to Lincoln Way East. Bounce back against a tough St. Rita team. Overall, with St. Rita, I really like that secondary. Another person to keep an eye out for, young Herman running back for St. Rita /athlete. Juliet Catholic in the Holy War against Providence Catholic. Juliet Catholic looked unbelievable. Munoz, the quarterback, unbelievable game last week. Again, another high vision recruit that a lot of college coaches like, taking on a Providence Catholic team that has done a wonderful job, especially replacing their players that have graduated. So this is definitely a big game to check out for. I forgot the quarterback's name, Providence Catholic. Sheehan, I think it's Sheehan if I'm not mistaken, is another kid to keep an eye out for. He's taking over for Lucas Proudfoot. Brother Rice versus Marist, the battle of 1-0 versus 0-1. Marist had a tough loss to Glenbard West last weekend. With Brother Rice, again, and I got to say, just impressed with their defense. Their defense is fast and it hits hard. With Marist, they got the line. The big question again, their ability to pass is going to be huge against this Brother Rice defense. And again, they can't get fancy. You get fancy, you get hurt. There's too many teams getting fancy. I saw some of the game film. We had one team that was running the A11 offense that half the kids didn't know what they were doing. Don't get fancy. All you coaches that are watching, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. That's the most important thing. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. That's the most important rule. York versus Nazareth Academy. Naz 0-1. York 1-0. Again, what the big thing is going to be York's offensive line taking on this Nazareth defensive line. The big thing is that Nazareth had the tough loss against Kankakee. With Nazareth, again, the big thing will be going to Logan Meshlek. I think York is going to key in on that running attack of Nazareth Academy. Hinsdale Central takes on Bolingbrook. Hinsdale Central 0-1, taking on a Bolingbrook team that's 1-0, and they just absolutely destroyed Grays Lake Central last week. Again, with Bolingbrook, the big thing that I want to see, especially, is with their linebacker core. That's going to be key. This Bolingbrook team could be on a rising level. Juliet West versus Morris. Morris football. Very impressive. Carter Budden, AJ Zweers, another unbelievable player. This Morris team is very, very, very impressive. And especially with Canelan being 0-1. This Morris team, and Sycamore, again, Sycamore looks good too. They're taking on Simeon, by the way, this week. This Morris team, there's a lot of good things going on with this team. The big thing's going to be that defensive line. And when they get into the regular conference schedule, can they compete against the likes of a Sycamore? I think they got a good shot against Canelan, but this Morris team, they get into the playoffs, they're going to do some damage, they're going to punish you, and literally they're going to grind your bones, basically. And that's been Morris's football's calling card for, I think, 6-7 decades almost. So again, keep an eye out for this Morris team. Geneva versus Lamont. Lamont had a tough loss to Libertyville, taking on Geneva team that absolutely had a great game against Mateo Valley. With Lamont, the big thing I'm looking at is the defense, and especially at the defensive end spot against Geneva offensive line. And again, keep an eye out for the Geneva, besides Taylor, because everyone's going to talk about Taylor. There's some good players. Diamond, Rocco DeLenardi, he's another player that you got to keep an eye out for as well. This is going to be another interesting spot with Geneva. Can they challenge Batavia? Can they challenge the St. Charles North? That's going to be huge because this Duquesne Conference is just star-studded and loaded. It's a pain in the ass for anyone that's got a coach in that Duquesne Conference. Next, Montini versus Hillcrest. Montini 1-0. Can they get to 2-0? The thing that's been a little bit of snake biting them for the past years. This Montini team looks really good. The big thing, again, with Hillcrest is they got a massive defensive end, star defensive end, a top recruit, could be a national top recruit within a couple of weeks. This, the Montini, the receivers is one of their strong suits. So is their running ground game too, and their offensive line. The amount of senior leadership on that offensive line for the Broncos is quite impressive. Next one, Richards versus Libertyville. Richards 0-1, Libertyville 1-0. Libertyville, big win over Lamont. Overall, the line just absolutely impressive. With Richards, again, you got to get back on the train tracks if you want to get into that playoff spot. And again, especially their defense has got to shore up some things, especially with a lot of the mental errors that were made. But again, mental errors are part of the high school football. You can't do anything about it. Prospect versus Barrington. Prospect 1-0. Barrington 1-0. Two great teams taking on each other. Barrington, I think, shocked a lot of people, and I think a lot of people were shocked by Prospect. But yeah, they're that damn good. The Knights are that damn good. Manuka versus Neuqua Valley. Neuqua Valley, 0-1. They need a big win, and Manuka is not a team that they want to see. Manuka's overall line play is unbelievable. Durf, their quarterback, he's something special. The big thing in the running the ground game, it's impeccable. The big thing for Neuqua Valley's defensive line and their ability to get penetration on that offensive line of Manuka. Lockport versus Wheaton North. Lockport High School. Unbelievable game last week. They take on a Wheaton North team. Again, these teams share the same stories. Again, but overall, for Wheaton North, Joe Barna and that defensive line along... I'm going to have to put the kids' names on top of the wall. I keep forgetting the kid's name. Wheaton North's quarterback had a great game as well. But overall, this Wheaton North Lockport matchup is going to be huge. Next one, tomorrow It's a Thursday game. Piatone versus Sandwich. Sandwich, back with a varsity squad, 1-0, taking on a Piatone team that's 1-0. I'm telling you right now, Sandwich, the running back, absolutely killed it last week. If Sandwich can get the pull of the win over the Blue Devils, watch out. Quincy Notre Dame takes on Richmond Burden. Richmond Burden, big win over Marion Central Catholic. And they didn't believe all the hype, and they won. For the Quincy Notre Dame, they played a tough Quincy team. Seemed a little bit outmatched at the times. This Quincy Notre Dame team can give a challenge to Richmond Burden. Definitely a game to keep an eye out for. Keep an eye out for Richmond Burden's quarterback. He had a good game last week. Check it out. Lincoln Way Central versus Evanston. Lincoln Way Central gets the big first week win, and they take on a tough Evanston team with defensive line who are just absolutely amazing. Overall rushing attack of Evanston as well. Unbelievable too. This is going to be a good game. Lake Park takes on 0-1 OPRF. Lake Park, can they get to 2-0? If they get to 2-0, watch out. This Lake Park team, Coach Kirkpatrick has done a wonderful job with Lake Park. Next one, Pinckneyville versus Cesar Valier. The big thing for Cesar Valier, and I got to say I'm very impressed with Cesar Valier. Colt Packer looks unbelievable. This is going to be an interesting game. Pinckneyville's got that top tight end. I think he just committed to University of Illinois, so definitely a game to check out. Plainfield North versus Naperville Central. Naperville Central's got the 1-0. Plainfield North 0-1. Again with Naperville Central, again with Jack Cook, and the overall roster, Maverick Ole, and Codo at linebacker, taking on a tough Plainfield North offensive line, and overall good group of receivers too. They got a small shifty kid that will absolutely obliterate secondaries. Game to check out. Fenwick versus St. Ignatius, the big Catholic school rivalry game. Fenwick taking on St. Ignatius. Fenwick gets the big win over OPRF. St. Ignatius, again, they still got Scott. And Scott is an absolute star. This is a game I'm looking forward to watching, and I'm definitely taking a look, especially at that Fenwick interior line and how they handle Scott. That's going to be huge. St. Francis versus Sterling. St. Francis suffered a loss going against the tough Sterling team. Cale Ledgetter. Overall good defensive line taking on a St. Francis offensive line that seemed to be struggling a couple times against DGN. And again, DGN's taking on DGS, big rivalry game. We'll see what happens. Can DGS get the big upset against this DGN team? Andrew takes on Oswego. Both teams 1-0. Oswego with the big surprise win last week. I think it was Nico Valley so it was Nico Valley. Taking on a tough Andrew team. We'll see what happens with that. The big thing will be for Oswego, I'm looking at, is their linebackers going against that Andrew offense. That's going to be huge. Can they read their keys and get the job done? Next, big rivalry game, Streeter versus Ottawa. Ottawa lost to Plano. Streeter gets the big win. Pete Williamson is a player that you must know. Also, Christian Benning, too. I had Streeter as my surprise team. This is a big proving point game for Streeter. Next, Rich Township versus Phillips. Both teams, 0-1. Can the Raptors get the big win over Phillips? The Phillips Wildcats. And the Phillips Wildcats, they had a tough time against Batavia, so definitely an interesting game there. And Wayne Academy, St. Charles East. I have as one of my games of the week as well, because St. Charles East, again, much bigger school taking on Wayne Academy. Definitely a game you want to check out. Wayne Academy, Brett Casper has had unbelievable first game down in Texas. They're back up north taking on a strong St. Charles East team with a great offensive line and a couple young receivers that you got to keep an eye out for. So it's going to be a good game. St. Charles East taking on Wayne Academy. I almost blinked out there for a second. Thoughts on Freeburg win over Fairfield? I don't think that was much of a surprise, to be honest with you. I thought I think that Freeburg, I think a lot of people had him beating Fairfield. I think Fairfield can challenge for a 3A state title. No doubt about it. I'm probably wrong with my classifications, but Fairfield, Again, who's it? Sanders, Snyder, the two Snyder brothers. They're unbelievable for Fairfield. Don't sleep on the Fairfield Mules. We got Jerseyville home Friday. I think Jerseyville, if I'm not mistaken, Jerseyville graduated their star running back last year, if I'm not mistaken. But it'll be an interesting game. Freeburg is an interesting team. They're a very interesting team. Big shout out to Dylan Smith. Hopefully I got that name right. But it'll be interesting. It's good. Definitely be an interesting game. All right, and again, if you like my work, if you hate my work, if you like me, if you hate me, please send money to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. It is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. Please check it out. St. Jude's Children's Hospital. The whole September, I'm not taking any tips, any donations, none whatsoever. Please send money to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. They do a wonderful job for families that can't afford it or any of the treatments. Please check it out, St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And again, tomorrow is DuPage Run Shoot Show with my co-host, me and Patrick Codo, as we talk DuPage County football. We'll also be talking some Illinois games. Breakfast with Coach Big Pete, 9 a.m. Again, I need those nominations, people. Send those nominations Friday after the game. Big games, 6, 7 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. Let me know. Nominate your player for the player of the night in the state of Illinois. Also, we're taking in nominations for offensive line unit of the night and Friday night varsity action. Please let me know. If you had an offensive line that put up a major amount of rushing yards, or kept the quarterback clean, let me know. Nominate your offensive line unit for unit of the night in the state of Illinois. I need those nominations. All nominating ends at midnight. No delay because last week because of the storms and all that stuff. So, all right. So that is it. Episode 2 is in the books. No questions. Again, if you want questions read on air, please let me know. Send questions. Someone sent a question via Facebook. The show's on Instagram Live and Facebook Live. So you can send your questions to coachbigpetefp@gmail.com and have them read online. Just say questions to be read online as a subject matter. But thank you guys so much for joining episode 2. Let's get ready for some football. DuPage Run and Shoot Show tomorrow with me and my co-host Patrick Codo. Make sure you follow DuPage Run and Shoot Show on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you so much.